day. Almost
I only,
missed one.
I only had 5, but all right. So give me a second. It's about to get prepared. So I'll let you know when it's there, because I don't want to have us talk about certain things that.
Oh yeah, we'll just stay on pause.
Almost missed one. I only had 5, but all right. So give me a second. It's about to. All right, so we like, what's up? Of course, we on Consumer Appliance Report once again, man. Your boy Richie Rich and my man Mark Keys. And today we're going to talk about. Last week we talked about what we talked about last week, Marquise. You know when you get older.
Oh yeah, that old versus new. That old, that with that slow bop, with that new is Liddy McNitty up in there, and I think by a landslide, the new had to come through. What do you think, Mr. Rich?
We both went with the new. Surprisingly, I thought I was going to go with old because I'm an old school type of person, man. I like old school. I don't really like change just the sake for change. It got to make sense. But like I said, I had to agree with you last week, man, that the new appliances are better with just so many different options that you get. Even though the older one, you spend your money and you got your money's worth. Back then, we weren't worrying about energy efficiency and all these different things that we got to consider now. So back then it worked for the time, but now with the new ones, it worked for what we need at this moment. So I had to agree with you, jump on the new. But this week, man, we got an interesting topic. I mean, this is one of the questions. Again, these questions that we pose or these shows that we have our topics on comes from customers that really want to know when they're purchasing the appliance, what's the best brand to get, right? So that's what we're going to focus on tonight. Just discussing a couple questions, man. What's the best appliance brand on the market? I got a couple questions for my man, but I could just throw one at you right now. Just have you just jump on the topic this morning. So when you're looking at a appliance, being a technician, right? You walking into a customer home, you understand just from doing this for about 18 years, just like I am, and you go into a customer house and they say, Marquise, man, I'm about to replace my appliance. What do you think is the best appliance to get, seeing that you've been working on them for so long? All right. So I want you to put on your technician hat on. What are some of the things that you say that you will, what's the reason why you choose the specific brand that you would say might be my favorite brand or might be one of the top brands that I like? Like, what are some of the things or the steps that you go through to figure that
out? I would say, of course, being the customer's home, and they're on that verge of making that huge decision between repair or replace. I'm gonna say I never ever tell them what's the best because I can't tell them what suits their needs. Right. So for me, when it comes down to answering that question, I usually say the best appliances are ones that accommodate your lifestyle. I don't want to buy an appliance that has a ton of features on it that I'll never use. That's how I look at things. But I always also base it on what I see in the field as what's most reliable, what's more durable, what do I see less of? But that can also be a problem when you say less of, because some of the higher end products you will not see much of because they're so expensive.
Right.
So I'm usually looking at affordability, how well it suits your needs, and roughly the estimate of how long it's going to last. That's what draws me to that conclusion. Okay. So I never, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Finish up.
I'm just going to say, I just never put them in a box and just say, go buy a Bosch, right. Even though whenever I refer to dishwashers, that's one that I don't see too often. But I would say if I could afford it and drop $2,000 on a good machine, probably might be a Bosch. But overall, it's all about what do that customer need and how does it suit their needs.
Okay. All right. Well, when I'm going in a person's house and they ask, Rich, what's the best appliance to purchase? I will probably go with one of the things that I consider as a technician, like you said before. When you go on it, service it, how many times are you servicing this one particular brand? Each appliance, no matter what brand they are, they all give issues, they all give problems. Some give more problems than others, right? So that's one of the things that I consider, right? Who gives them more problems, just like how you said earlier. That's one. As far as, and that includes me, how often do I see it as well, right? How often, how many people like it, the reviews on it. Of course, go to Consumer Appliance Report. We got reviews all day long, man. So check those joints out. But I also take a look at what's one of the things, I don't know, I'm gonna ask you this, and I want you to jump on this once I'm finished. I consider as a tech how difficult it is for me to work on it, right? Because I remember back in the day when we used to, when Bosch's first came out, we really did not like Bosch because we just didn't understand the mechanics, and it wasn't American made, so we weren't used to it. And when new appliances do come out, a lot of times most techs, even including myself at times, we can get intimidated by it because we just don't understand it. And that play a key part in like, man, I don't like it. It's just because I don't understand it. But over time, as we work on Bosch dishwashers, it's not that bad. It's just a matter of us really understanding how it works. And that factor in my opinion, when I'm assessing an appliance or recommending an appliance, not just how good it works, stuff like that, but also how difficult it is for me to work on it as well, because that's an issue for me. If it's difficult to work on, because I'm a tech, most guys are not going to want to work on it, and you have to consider that aspect of it if you happen to want to get it fixed. So what do you feel about my thoughts on that? Because I wanted your opinion on that.
Man, you actually that was a sneak attack right there, right? That crept in. I like that.
Yeah.
Man, you just said a mouthful with that, because that does actually play a role as well. When I'm dealing with any customer I'm encountering, or just somebody interested in some information, they might be in the market, they might see me somewhere or notice that advertising on the truck. Tinker Appliance Repair, yeah, holla at me. And Richard's Appliance Repair, we've been in the game, we're here to help you. Besides that, I do consider how hard they are to work on, because I tell people, look, this is a great brand, like Fisher Paykel dishwashers.
Oh, I can't.
They're pretty good.
Oh my God.
Go ahead. Hold on. Oh man, yeah, you about
go ahead.
It's I'm like not snatching off a band-aid. It just hurt. But it's a good dishwasher when it works. But once it breaks, who are you going to get to fix it? Because you might have several technicians come through that will not, they will either decline the job, right, throw parts at it, or just flat out tell you, hey, go get a new machine, because they're just not going to put any effort into the machine. Now, me and Brother Rich here, we do have our share of experience with them. It would be a blessing for us to come.
Still don't like them. Still don't like them.
I'm not saying you have to like. I understand that. I know. That's just like when we see that Samsung that you're gonna have to pull out every single time when you got a certain failure on it, and it's the cord for the water is about that long. And you got to disconnect it, and electrical like that long. You got to do all that to get it out, drink. But regardless, to have a technician that's willing to work on it, that know what they're doing, it's going to be a slim chance that you get that. Right. Because the average person, they don't want to spend the time. They may not have the experience because they don't see them that often. And third, as soon as they hear the name, they just run. They be like, "Oh, that's that. Oh yeah, we don't work on that." Or after they collect the trip charge, then they tell you they don't work on it. Right. So it can go a couple of ways where you as a consumer will lose. So yes, that is something that I do consider when recommending an appliance. What three would you say is in your top three there, Brother Rich, for appliances? I've had a feeling we're probably going to agree on this.
Since you already jumping in there like that, right? Because that's one of the things that we're going to discuss, some of the ones that we like and sometimes some of the ones we don't like. You already know how I feel about Fisher Paykel. I'm not a huge fan at all. So that's one of my worst lists, because it's not, one is the experience factor, and then two, again, working on them sometimes could be a pain in the butt. It's just unnecessary, the amount of things that you got to go through to replace a particular part, and that factors in. And it's a high-end appliance, so I don't see it as much as other appliances, but when I do, I just don't like, I mean, I do it just to do it because I have experience and I could figure it out eventually, but that's one of the worst ones. But to answer your question, one of the ones that I really like, I'm just going to be honest with you. I like Samsung appliances, and a lot of people probably don't want to hear that, but it all depends on the appliance as well, right? So I'm going to name a couple that I like. Samsung dryers are really good dryers, bro. Like I'm just gonna be honest and upfront. I really like their dryers, and they're not difficult to work on. Their wash machines are good wash machines. They're not difficult to work on. So now with the Samsung making these appliances, you have techs going out there to work on these appliances. A lot of guys are getting familiar with it, but they're still somewhat intimidated by it because they just don't really want to work on it because they just don't feel comfortable doing it. Me personally, I like it. If I see a Samsung washer and dryer, I'm good. There's no problems in there. Samsung stove, good. I like their stove. It's not difficult to work with. A lot of their appliances are really simple. It's just understanding how they work. Simple. Those three things. Dishwashers is a different story though. Their dishwashers is a different story because of when you have to repair it. Most of the time, if you got to replace the water valve, the inlet valves on the side, if you got to replace a motor, you got to pull the unit out, and that's what makes it difficult. As technicians, one of the last things we really want to do is pull out a customer's dishwasher, right? Because you already know, don't want to scratch the floor, don't want to damage the property, don't want to do all this unnecessary work if we don't really have to. You see what I'm saying? And that's just where it is. So just putting that out there, that's the dishwashers is a pain in the butt. I'm gonna let you speak on the refrigerators because I know for sure. I do some of them, they're okay. I know we've done a couple of reviews on a lot of the Samsung appliances. Their refrigerators we did an okay grade on. We try to be as honest as possible. Well, we are honest as possible with the reviews that we get where we do. But at the same time, I know that if you don't have technicians working on them, it's difficult for them to get repaired, and sometimes it's difficult to get parts. So that's one of the main reasons why I don't really like working on their refrigerators. Dishwashers is a little bit iffy. Iffy is 50-50, depending on what it is, depending on how much access I might have as well. And that's what would change the perspective is the amount of access that we get to pull it out without taking off the water, taking out the electricity. You already know all this stuff, man. But their microwaves is good, their stoves is good, cooktops is good. The big issue for me is more the dishwasher, because you got to pull it out, and their refrigerator is a pain in the butt. But I'm gonna let you go ahead and give one of your tops. Don't give them all, but give them one. So for me, for one, not in the order, but the Samsung. So what's your favorite?
I would say one of my top ones is Whirlpool. I'm a good old boy with Whirlpool. I gotta go with Whirlpool. Whirlpool to me, hands down, across the board, have some of the most easy to repair units, no matter what it is. It could be stove, fridge, washer, dryer, whatever. Whirlpool, hands down, is one of my favorites. And they, to me, they have durability. They do last long. And they got their hands in so many different brands, you could say. We'll get into that later, but I really like the Whirlpools, man. They tend to, I would say 9 times out of 10, I'm dealing with a Whirlpool. It's fixable. The parts are usually pretty readily available. The designs are pretty much the same. One thing I gotta tip my hat to Samsung for and LG is that on the technology side, they just blew past them. They have all of that extra stuff that you want, the bells and whistles, the remote start, got the oven turning on and you down the street, all that stuff. So that's awesome, but it's a trade-off too, because now you gotta get somebody who knows how to handle that equipment. And I'm with you with that, Brother Rich. The Samsung, I actually told a customer the other day, if I could get a whole kitchen, meaning all my appliances in the kitchen, Samsung or LG, for like $2,500, $3,000, I'm on board. Because at that point, and I'm talking from the consumer side, not the tech side. Okay. At that point, I would feel like I got a great deal, because you're going to get the style, you're going to get the bells and whistles, the little small gadgets in there that make them more appealing. If you happen to be selling a home, it's definitely a good bump up. it just gives it that life, the style. That black stainless is crushing them right now, with the GE and Samsung, and all of them doing it really now. But I had to say Whirlpool, man. Whirlpool, I can get my hands on them parts same day most of the time. I ain't got to wait for somebody to bring them over on a canoe and then get a pigeon to send the message that the parts have been dropped. It's just, boom, I go any parts store on the humble, they're going to probably have those parts. So I have to say Whirlpool.
Okay. I'm surprised by that, but I'm surprised, but then I'm not. Of course, Whirlpool got the history. So they've been around for a while. Like we said, we have tremendous experience with working with Whirlpool. So I do understand why you went with that. No problem there, which is pretty good. I mean, I like how you broke it down and you got into that as well. Another one that I have on the list that I like is LG. Again, to me, Samsung and LG are similar. So a lot of the same, they're cousins. They look just alike. Like, so when people see one, they see the other. It's like it's the same exact appliance made, just different brands, different names on it. So I like the LG products. I like their stoves. I like their dryers. I like their washing machines. Microwaves. I like their microwaves as well. Similar issue to the Samsung, the dishwasher issue, because they got so much going on with the dishwasher. You got to pull the unit out, and it's really if you can pull them out, I think that would alleviate a lot of the issues if the customer's home got a long enough electrical line where we talked about before, a long enough water line like we talked about where we have access to pull them out. It's not that bad, but again, not everybody has that. And that's one of the biggest issues that I can see. And then of course, they're refrigerated, right? So we can dissect their refrigerators a little bit because we know for sure with you having the experience that you have working on LG, and I'm hearing things about LG right now, their refrigerators is not, it's not holding up. Definitely those and all that stuff. So just let us know a little bit about the LG refrigerator. Even though I like their appliances, they can be perfect and everything. You know what I mean?
Once again, LG, when it comes to that compressor, of course, we don't see nothing but the ones that break. I mean, let's just be 100 about that. So it does sound a lot more harsh coming from us because we see products that's broken all the time. Right. That's why I love at the beginning how you say, which one do we see less? Right. Because it's only going to be two reasons: either people who don't like it, or it's very expensive, or maybe three. It's very expensive, people don't like it, and whatever else might be your own personal input on that. Let's say that. But anyway, the LG refrigerator, overall to me, it's a great machine that you're going to get a good 3 to 5 years out of. The average one that I've seen, 7 at the max.
A refrigerator, 3 to 5 years, and you're spending $3,000 on?
Yep, you might as well say $1,000 a year. But they do have that 10-year warranty on the compressor, right. And it's sad to say it, but that's what's happening with the unit. Once that manufacturer's warranty expires that year, you got some additional time, which you can find out on Consumer Appliance Report. You check that out. He might even, Mr. Richard might be reviewing something on there for you, or making you alert to checking out your warranty on your product. And they have those things available. But then the issue that you have is getting a certified tech to install them that want to deal with them. So that's another product where now you're looking at the factor of who can I get to put the part in. Now, I've had some people who are actually old HVAC techs, they retired and stuff like that. They got free time. They'll get the part and put it in themselves flawlessly. You can get a tech that's been trained on refrigerators for 30 years, and they get on there and tear the system up because the system, and I let me rephrase that. They won't tear the system up, but the system is so badly contaminated that it's got all of this gunk and stuff all throughout the system. It becomes a repetitive repair. They come out, they fix it, it starts working. A month later, something else is clogged. They got to come back out. So that particular unit, once again, if it was on sale, I'm more than happy to purchase it. But paying full price for it, I can't see it. To me, it's just a problem waiting to happen, a failure waiting to occur. But if I can get a good deal on it, I'm with it. With that being said, because you said Samsung is pretty much one that you really like, and I like their stuff too. I gotta say, I do like their stuff. Dishwashers on the bottom end, to me, I would not purchase that. But the other appliances, it has the typical same problems as the average one with wear and tear and electrical. But that dang, the Samsung and the LG, out of those two, I would probably rock with the Samsung. Just because with that one, a lot of times when you have a failure, at least the other half, if it's a dual evaporator style, meaning it has 2 cooling zones, or it has the flex zone where it's got 3 cooling zones, independent, put together in one unit. Whereas though the LG, if that one fails, it's going to, even though it's a dual evap, 2 separate cooling zones, that the fact that that compressor is failing completely, you're losing all your food. At least with the Samsung, you can start to rearrange or use one, use the freezer, because their failure usually occur in the fresh food section and the refrigerator section. But I would probably roll with the Samsung hands down, because I won't have to worry about replacing the compressor. Period.
Yeah.
Most of the time, this is good.
And that's one of the things that we try to help, again, on the Consumer Appliance Report, is really allowing customers to go into the owner's manual, because most of them don't really know. Because like I said, we get people calling us about LG products all the time. And we have to let them know, like, check out your owner's manual, because they're willing to pay to try to get it done. Because again, $3,000 for a brand new refrigerator, that's a lot of bread. That's a lot of money kicking out like that. You know what I'm saying? So if you dealing with a situation like that, you would rather pay for the labor, which might be between $300 and $600, depending on the company that comes out and all the work that they have to do. But in the owner's manual, they do cover the parts and the labor, depending on the refrigerator, for 5 years. And if it's 10 years, they will cover the compressor, and they just cover just the part. And sometimes they cover it for 10 years as well, just the part, but not the labor. But either way, it's saving you a lot of money. It's just that you have to get qualified people to be able to come out to repair the joint. So that's one thing that people got to consider as well. So another appliance that I know I could jump out on this that I do not like. I do not like Electrolux. I'm not a fan, and I know Frigidaire make them. I'm not a fan of Electrolux.
Basically, it is Electrolux.
Yeah, it's the same exact thing. But I would prefer a Frigidaire product either way. I'm just not a huge fan of Electrolux, just because I see it, and it's just complicated in the design sometimes when they try to implement
for no reason.
For no reason at all.
No reason.
We want to be different, right? And that's the thing. We want to be different. We want to be able to just create our own appliance and just be separate from everybody else. But I'm just not a huge fan of it. One, I know it could be expensive, some of the parts that's there. Again, availability in parts and people working on it. So these are a lot of the complaints that I can say I've dealt with Electrolux. It's just complicated for no reason. You have to do so much to repair it. Again, that's one of the big issues for me as a tech. I can speak for myself. If it's difficult for me to work on, that's a problem, because I'm not going to recommend your product, because it's too much to do one simple job. If I got to do that, and I'm used to appliances where it's taking me 10 minutes to repair a drain pump, and yours is going to take me 35, 40 minutes because I got to take all this off, it makes no sense. I'm going to be fussing in my head and unscrewing it and trying to fix it. And it's just a difficult thing, man. It's a difficult thing, man. So that's one of the brands that I do not like. It's Fisher Paykel and Electrolux. I'm going to just go with those two for now. Frigidaire is cool, and I know it's the same brand and stuff like that. But what's another brand that you don't like that you see out there in the field when you're working out?
Another brand, I mean, you pretty much swept the field with Electrolux. I don't want to be appliance bashing, but I'm like, that's trash. I just had one of them today.
You're doing this for 18.
I mean, straight up trash. It's nice when it works. Let me rephrase that. It's nice when it works, but it's trash if you want it fixed, because it's a complicated machine for no apparent reason. And really, that's going to take me back, because see, it's hard for me sometimes, because to clear the board with a brand that I just don't like to work on, it's only specific products that they make that I kind of pinpoint on that irritates me. Like with the Samsung, I would put a Samsung in my house, but I just don't like their dishwashers. I don't like working on them. That takes me to the GE. I'm going to give you a bit of sweet here. GE is actually one of them in my top 3. I prefer to work on their stuff. I like their washers, their dryers, their fridges. their stoves, their hoods, microwaves, but do not give me one of their dishwashers. They're garbage. Their newer dishwashers, you cannot access hardly anything except for a sensor and the float sensor in the front. You got to take the door part to put in the keypad. The control board is easy to access, but it's a garbage unit. It's almost like when it reminds me of the Samsung after you had it for 3 years. Number one complaint, it don't clean like it used to, and it keep giving me error codes. That GE does the same thing. So I would say with me, one of the ones I don't like, I would have to just say is the actual appliance, is the GE dishwasher. The garbage.
All right.
As soon as I see one, I could just smell that General Electric funk coming off of it. And that I don't like. But the other stuff is great. I like everything else.
Yeah, everything else is pretty. I had Bosch on my paper.
Bosch is dope.
Bosch is dope, but again, Bosch is expensive. I remember when Bosch came out when we used to work for Sears. Yeah. And like I said, it was a difficult product to work on. We had no history on it. And normally when these appliances come from different countries, they don't really give you much information to really repair it. So if you don't have inside information, then it's difficult for someone to really repair it, even if you have 15 years experience, because it's something that you've never seen before, because it could be so different from the other appliances that you work on. Remember when LG first came out, let me just switch to this real quick.
Oh yeah.
The way that they screw the screw to replace the motor, we used to damage the screw, because in America, you knew that you were supposed to turn the screw counterclockwise to untighten it. But on the LG dishwasher, when you turn it counterclockwise, that's how you tighten it. So we knew we didn't even have that history on that. And we used to replace so many motors because we just didn't know.
Hey, brother.
We had to replace the motor.
Oh man, I'm glad you said, brother. I'm telling you, that we had senior techs. Remember this? We had senior techs saying if you got to replace that impeller, you just got to get a whole new motor because that screw don't come out. And I'm like, the screw got to come out. And if it wasn't for Mr. Richard here, check out Richard's Appliance Repair. If it wasn't for this guy who said, that screw is inverted. You said it's inverted. I'm like, inverted. I'm like, what? You're like, yo, you got to act like you drilling it in, like you drilling it down, and it's going to come up. And I never forget, I was working on one, and that saved me on so many calls. Just because I had to get that impeller out to get some junk from underneath of the strainer screen. But we replaced, and their motors are a headache. Their motors, you got to take them out and flip the machine over. I heard technicians saying, oh man, I ain't had to take it out. I said, I bet you they're going to have a flood in the kitchen. I ain't even listen to them after that. I knew they was full of job. I ain't never had to do that. I just pull it down in the front. Yeah, it's probably leaking right now. That's right.
So I was gonna consider Bosch, and you showed me Whirlpool and GE. I'm thinking I'm gonna jump on your side. I would say out of Whirlpool and GE, I might have to go with the Whirlpool. Simple because Whirlpool is out of the appliance that I like to work on. Whirlpool is a lot simpler and a lot easier. It's not complicated. GE is not complicated. Everything else except their dishwasher could be complicated and difficult because they're trying different things and it's just not working for them. Like you said, with the display panel going bad and stuff like that. So the top three that I would have if I'm picking three, I'm not even putting them in order. I like Samsung, I like LG, and I like Whirlpool. I would say GE is probably number 4. If I wanted to do like a top 4 appliances. But yeah, but outside of that, like I said, these brands are somewhat similar. It's just that they're different in make a little bit as far as the appliances. And one of the things that we can jump on is remember, unless you had something you wanted to say, you was good.
Oh no, I'm good. You pretty much nailed it. I think we're matching each other with the top 3.
I was gonna jump in when customers are asking like what appliance you should get. Like they will say, man, I don't want no Whirlpool appliance, but they go ahead and get a Maytag. They go ahead and get a Kenmore.
Oh, rebranded.
KitchenAid. And that's one of the things that we can go into, because I have a list of stuff here with rebranding appliances. And that's one of the things when we talk about appliances, you might not like a Whirlpool, but if you go get a Maytag, that is a Whirlpool product. If you go get a KitchenAid, it's a Whirlpool product. If you go get a Kenmore, it's a Whirlpool product. If you go get a Gen Air, it's a Whirlpool product. If you go get a
Magic Chef,
Whirlpool product. Right, Magic Chef. So that's what I'm saying. Like, and that's what happens with different companies. They rebrand their appliances so that if you do not like this appliance, then you have, when you purchase this appliance, you're still purchasing from us, which is a smart idea from them, because again, certain appliances that have certain defects and have poor reviews, then you can always come back with another appliance that looks somewhat similar. And that's one of the things that we can talk about. How the appliances look similar is like buying a Toyota and a Lexus. They're the same car,
Bingo.
similar, but you know, I mean, we think that it's totally different. It's just made by the same company, just a little bit different. So just talk about those two in the mindset or the psyche of.
Well, actually, man, I would have to say, bro, you actually nailed it, because that's one of my favorite analogies to use whenever I talk about appliances. I always say, you know, you can get a Camry or you can get a Lexus.
Right.
You know, you can get a Avalon. You know, it's all layers to this stuff. You know, what's the high end, what's the bottom end, but what is the quality is the key component.
Yeah.
Messing around with GE, you know, you got General Electric. You know, you got all these. What they got? Americana. That's GE.
Hot Point.
Yeah, Hot Point. You know, but then you got the Profile, you got the Monogram, you got the Cafe, you got all of these different layers, and it's all really GE. It doesn't change, you know. And I'm pretty sure you've seen this on microwaves. Plenty of Kenmore and GE microwaves and stuff that's actually using LG components.
Right.
You know, they got the LG Magnetron in it, but it's the GE make. So it's always a play on words and rebranding. It's just one of those things, like you said, is used to sell a product that is, they're going to give you what you want. And if you don't really want this particular name on it, well, hey, we'll take the name off and make the same exact thing. Kenmore did it for years. People always say, well, that's a Kenmore. That's a Sears brand. It's a Sears brand. You're exactly correct. But guess what? It's made by Whirlpool, GE, LG, Samsung. All Kenmore was made by so many different manufacturers. But it's very interesting that I noticed on certain sites that you deal with when you're trying to get parts is that if it's a Kenmore and you put in that model number, it will not work unless it's on a Sears site. But if you can get that part number, you can still get it. And you will find that it comes in a Whirlpool factory certified part bag or GE box or whatever. So at the end of the day, like we always keep saying, and I think we said it several times already, it's all about what serves its purpose for you in your life. If you're not going to be using all these features and you purchase this expensive product or this very cheap product, and then you say, well, I wish it had more. I bought a really cheap stove, but I want convection. Well, if you get convection, now you got time bake, you got self-clean, all that. Well, I don't want that. Well, if you want convection, this is what you have to buy. So you might have to buy that Lexus that got the heated seats that you ain't going to use just because you want that panoramic view roof, you know, sunroof, or you want, you know, sensors to tell you that this car is getting close to you. You're going to have to buy that Benz, you know, instead of buying that Crossfire. What was that one car? It was a crossover or something. It was a Chrysler car with a Mercedes-Benz engine. It was a 2-seat. I think it's called a Crossfire or something. But a lot of people didn't know.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Motor.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so people was buying it because they like, oh, it got a Benz engine. It probably ain't gonna never die. But the whole car been and fell apart on you in the meantime. So, you know, you're still paying for, you're looking for the quality. So it's all about suiting your lifestyle. But with the rebranding, the wool has been over your eyes for many years for many of us. We figured this stuff out by being in the industry, of course, and learning like, hey, you know, I can actually take this part out and, hey, you know what? Hey, this is the same part. Hold up, but how come this door switch costs $30 and this one is $5? You know, it's the same. It's the same thing. So, you know, we're just revealing these secrets to the public. Let y'all know that it is what it is. And in some cases, yeah, I prefer to use you can buy certain thermal the line fuses. You can get some real cheap ones, you know, some quick little ones to pop in, but then you got to look at what you're getting. Like I might use a ceramic fuse from GE, versus one of them quick little ones I can grab out of the auto parts store. because it can't handle the heat when you're cooking underneath of the stove. I mean, underneath of the microwave that's over the range, you got all that heat going through it. That fuse can't take the heat like a ceramic fuse can. So they'll be like, man, every time I'm cooking under here and I turn on the microwave, everything blow out. It's because it's too much heat. It can't handle it. So you got to look at the quality of what you're purchasing. But a lot of times, depending on what it is, they are interchangeable. You still got to factor in the safety of it all, because it's a reason why certain items are put into the system of a unit, because it's rated for certain things. Don't just say, oh, well, this look like this, put that in there, because sometimes that'll be a terrible mistake, which can lead to injury and God forbid, but death, fire, stuff like that. You don't need that.
Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with a lot of the stuff that you said, man. It's just rebranding has been going on for a really, really long time. And that's one of the things that I try to tell customers all the time. If you see something that you like, just go to the stores and just compare them. Just look at them. They look similar. The doors look the same a little bit. The parts on the inside look the same. So that's one of the ways you can actually look at it. Or now we have smartphones. You can Google stuff. You can get all this stuff online, so you know exactly what brands or what brands. I don't even think they're being masked or being hidden. It's just that most people just don't know about it. Yeah, not anymore, because it's just so wide open with so much information now. So, and that's the thing that you have to consider when you're purchasing a new appliance. The brand, depending on the issue. Like I said, with Consumer Appliance Report, man, we dive into a lot of these reviews as much as we can, so that we'll be able to help you. And that's where help you decide on what's the best appliance to buy. And it's not even just the brand. It's just so many different features that some of them have to offer. Like I said, we try to also give them the technical side of it, to know exactly how much you're going to spend when it's broken, what parts normally go bad, because no matter what the appliance is, a lot of the parts are similar where they all break. Your washing machine, your drain pump is going to get clogged up because sometimes a sock gets stuck in there. That's all models. That it's not unique just to Samsung. It's not unique just to LG. But I can say publicly that the LG washing machines, those drain pumps break a lot more often than the Samsung units break. Whirlpool, like the older ones, the drain pumps, they do leak. But I know for sure, as far as like a front load unit, the newer model, those LG motors tend to break a lot often. And that's one of the things that we bring when we're opening up just in dialogue with different brands and different appliances. We know a lot of the issues each and every brand may have, right? And this is why we have this forum here to open that information up. If anybody want to ask any questions or have any ideas that they want to throw at us, we'll just go ahead and ask those questions or whatever. And like I said, man, I love what we're doing. I love that we're bringing this information and just open up this information for people to know and to get all this information about these appliances, man. So as far as a brand, we already know what brands we like, what brands we don't like because of different reasons. But at the end of the day, they're just about all the same, right? Certain things might last a little bit longer than others because of the materials being used, because the way it's designed, certain things just don't hold up. And in my opinion, I just think that some of the times the manufacturers only know about these issues just from customers purchasing it and using it, right? So the more you use it, the more issues you might have. It's best to especially if it's an issue where a part is burning up or is, setting stuff on fire or stuff like that. Trust me, those recalls that those manufacturers have, they definitely want to fix those issues because they understand the importance of really trying to satisfy their customers. Because I remember Samsung had a washing machine, boy. You put that on a certain spin and the whole joint just blew up. Like the whole machine separates, man. So I know they've been trying to fix that. I know they haven't had issues like that before, but that was a main issue with that particular unit. Maytag dishwashers back in the day had an issue with their wire harnesses burning up, catching on fire. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of these manufacturers have issues, no matter what the brand is, they have issues, but it's all about how much it's going to cost you to repair those issues and how often does those issues happen just from you using it because, you're just using it because you're using your other appliances, or maybe you just don't understand how it works and you're just using it incorrectly and stuff like that. So a lot of that stuff plays a part in human error and how we do things and how it's being made because it's not as durable. So you know, they're just about all the same, in my opinion, man. So I know we down.
Yeah.
Go ahead. I'm gonna let you go ahead and talk, man, because I know I've been saying a lot. But go ahead. Do you think?
No. You're good. You basically covering all the bases, man, because it's a factor. You know, I don't think that most manufacturers, I don't think any, if I was running a company, I just think of it as that if I was running something that produced appliances, that is, because Tinker is in full effect in case y'all need something fixed. You know what I mean? So is Rich's Appliance Repair. Just putting it out there. We here.
Yeah, do your thing, brother.
Yeah, but I don't think that they intentionally make these things to fail. Like people always say, built-in adolescence and all. Like what they doing with the phones upgrade on. I do believe to a certain degree that they're at the end of the day, like any other company, they're there to make a profit. So the materials, they're not going to use super expensive materials because then they would not be able to support the company and give people jobs and all that stuff. It just won't happen. So you have to be realistic on when they're making all of these plans and developing something. And like Brother Rich said, some of the stuff they're not going to see because when it's in a factory, I don't care how many times they say it's been, we took this washer through 1,000 washers with this, that, and the third. Guess what's so different about that washer and the one that's in your house? The one that's in there is in perfect conditions, meaning temperature, what they're loading it with and all of this stuff is perfect conditions. The floor is exactly leveled and all that. When it gets in your house and somebody throws a comforter in there and a pair of jeans, which probably ain't supposed to go together, but you threw it in there and that thing started going boom, boom, banging around in the washer. You're like, Dad, what happened? It was fine yesterday. So they consider these things, but they're looking at it at a picture perfect kind of mentality where they know that people are going to do this, but they're saying, hey, if you operate it within these standards, it's going to function like this. I myself, our family, we have front loaders, Frigidaire, which that was going to be my number 3 for favorite.
You like Frigidaires, man?
I like Frigidaire, not the dish, not big on the dishwasher, but the dryer, the fridge, everything else has been good. So that was my number 3 in my top 3. Electrolux is definitely in my bad 3. So yeah, they can keep Electro.
But go ahead.
Yeah, but you can tell that they're definitely built differently, bro.
Yeah, they are.
Like that Electrolux dishwasher is garbage. They got one little sensor in there. If that go bad, it don't fill up. Whereas though the regular Frigidaire versus the Electrolux, Frigidaire just has a float cup versus the other one, it's garbage. Anyway, back on topic. We knock on wood. Our family uses the Frigidaire front load washer and dryer, and now that machine is about 11 years old. We haven't. I've had to repair the washer because things left in my pants pocket or something like that, and it get jammed in the drain pump. Or with the dryer, it had a really long run. When we say run, it had a long ventilation out. The vent to go out was a really long run. So if you run it too fast back to back with high heat, it blows out the thermal fuse. Once we figured out all that, we kind of paced ourselves differently while using the unit, because it does tell you in the manual, it works better on short runs. If you got a long run, it's not good for the unit. But out of all these years, we've operated it just like the manual said, not just because I'm a technician, but because I know what the front loaders did, and they stink and things like that when you don't handle them correctly. So we did pay attention to the manual and all of that, and we use it accordingly and haven't had any issues. If I even mention the word front loader to some of you customers out there, some of y'all gonna be like, heck no, I don't want no front loader. They stink, they terrible. I had to get burns and all that. The way that you're running a unit, you may be running it too hard. Just like top loaders now, the agitatorless top loaders. I'm pretty sure you hear this a lot, Rich. They don't clean, they don't do nothing. They the worst. Why don't they put the agitator in them? It's a reason why they phased out the agitator. That agitator is beating your clothes to death. Whereas though the top load with the plate, the wash plate, now they're doing the same thing. Yeah. They're doing the same thing as the front loader. They're just pushing water through the clothes and cleaning them that way, and it's gentler on your clothes. But if you don't operate it correctly, it's going to be garbage. And some people, they just want to hear that, they want to hear that thing working. So, I mean, I can't say nothing. I had a quick story. I ain't going to hold this up. I know we got stuff to do, but I had a customer over the weekend. Go ahead, bro. I'm sorry. Say again.
I said, go ahead. You're good. You're good, bro. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah. So I had a customer over the weekend. I came out there to look at something for them, and they recently bought a new top loader. And I'm telling you, the thing is brand new, and neither one of them. The guy and his partner, they did, man, him and his spouse, they did not like this top loader worth nothing. And they just spent like $800-900 on it. It looked pretty, looked nice, got all the buttons and everything. They like, man, we hate this machine. And I'm like, why? That's the new wave. No, it don't do this. It don't clean nothing. It's got all these settings that I don't need. And I'm like, but you, in my mind, I'm like, you bought it. Right. So you seen it. And they was like, in the store, it sounded like a great idea. It's got a setting for waterproof clothes and a setting for this and a setting for, I'm like, yeah, and that's how you got to use it. You can't throw towels in there and put it on jeans. You know, it's a setting for towels. It's a setting for bedding. It's a setting. You have to. That's what it is. And I'll let you go from there, brother Rich, because I know that you can. You probably got a ton of those stories.
This is still a part of the topic where we're talking about appliances, talking about different brands. It's just understanding how they work. This is where the channel came from. Just because, again, I've been in customers' homes all the time. They ask me the question, what's the best brand? What's the best appliance to buy? And this is where it comes from, just them having an issue. And I'm like, all right, let's see what we can do to help them out, right? Just giving them information so they can really understand how the appliance works. And this goes for everybody. Like if I got to put in a bookshelf, I don't really want to read all the instructions. I just want to see how it looks and just put it together. We're all that way. If I get a brand new car, I know how to drive. I don't need to zoom, put the key in there, gear, and I'm out. I don't need nothing else. I don't even read the manual. I haven't even read any car manuals at all. So I do understand that aspect of it. But at the same time, with appliances, understanding how they work will help you out a lot. Especially if you're used to the older appliances, right? And you want an appliance with a lot more water, right? So you do have Whirlpool appliances, even though I'm not a huge fan of the Whirlpool washing machines. And anybody that watched my channel when I did a review on that, know that for sure. I don't really like it because of the transmission and how it works. And it's not, to me, and just in my opinion, it's just not durable enough. Even though it has the bells and whistles, it's just not durable, and the transmissions and the gears, they wear out a lot often than the LG and the Samsung products. All right, so that's why I say that. But even then, they're still giving you the option to choose between the actuator, which is the old one, or the impeller, right? The impeller, which is the smaller agitator, you can choose within the two. You have deep wash or deep clean, where you can add the traditional amount of water like back in the day with all the water inside the machine. They have a treat station that you can use where you can just clean, where it's like a water faucet on the washing machine and it cleans. Or you get soap. It gives you a little brush. You can add soap in the brush and you can pre-treat your clothes before you actually put it in there. So these options are amazing options. But like you said before, if you're not familiar with it, if your expectation is you just throw it in there and they're expecting to wash, then that's not going to work. If you're using, like you said, it's supposed to be towels in there, but you're using it in the jean setting, it's not going to work because the machines are smart enough to calibrate depending on the clothes that's inside the machine. So if you're not using it according to how it's being used, it's not going to work properly. So a lot of us got to get used to that and understand that as well, depending on what it is that you want and understand the appliance. It makes it that much more simpler for you to use it. Yes, no one wants to read the owner's manual. I agree with you 110%. But as a technician, when my washing machine doesn't work or it's making a loud noise, I know that I've overloaded it. I'm not tripping because I'm not going to call nobody, right? So if it's making noise, I'm like, cool. It's because it's overloaded. But again, as a customer, we have to understand that they're not mechanically inclined enough to figure out what the issue is. They might think it's an issue. Sometimes it is and sometimes it's not. It all depends on the appliance. But at the same time, just getting familiar with it will help us out so much to understand how the appliance work. And sometimes you do got to do your research. You do want to get out there and look online and check out reviews, check out Consumer Appliance Report. Look at other reviews that is being said, especially by customers about the appliance that you like, because most of the times, right, they will let you know a lot of the issues that they're having, if that issue is not fixed, then you might have that same issue, right? Because that's how it normally works in the appliance field. Enough people have the same issue, enough people contact the manufacturer, voice their opinion, then of course they already know off top, then this might be an issue. Jump into, for one, I know you're an expert on this, and talk about that for a little bit. What about the Samsung refrigerator with the ice maker issue, right?
Oh, yeah.
So I'm gonna let you go ahead and do that.
Oh man, that thing, they've come to the conclusion where with those, if you get a hold of the manufacturer, they're actually paying customers back for those refrigerators. They're giving them that $2,000 or $3,000. It's a known problem with the it's a French door Samsung. It has the ice maker in the fresh food section, the refrigerator section. And what happens is over time, as this thing begins to cool and warm and things like that, the cavity begins to get warped where the ice is made, where they call it the ice box area. They have several kits. You can get the kit where it comes with a new control board. It comes with a new auger motor. It comes with a new ice bucket, and it comes with a new ice maker itself. And you're supposed to seal it up with silicone and all of this stuff, which is fine and dandy if it works. The problem is it may work or it may not work, which becomes a non-repairable issue. So many consumers, and we're talking about those, even the new ones that's got the tablet for a door and all of that. I mean, some of those are doing the same exact thing. And it's a non-repairable issue. So you got to look at it. I paid $4,000, $5,000 for a fridge that it cannot give me ice, or is giving me a problem where that's a feature I paid for and it cannot be corrected. And it's going to kind of lean me towards, that's another reason why I like the Whirlpools. Because when Whirlpool did the indoor fresh food section ice maker, they made it part of the cavity. So therefore it didn't have a chance to have any seams where it could warp or anything, and it creates an air leak. And that's what happens with the Samsung. It gets voids inside of where that ice box is inserted, because you can actually remove that compartment. And then that cold air and warm air mixes, it creates frost and all that stuff. And then it breaks the ice maker because it builds up with too much ice and frost in that section when it's trying to harvest. Right. It can't move because it's just loaded with water and ice and all that. It just can't push the ice out. And it's horrible, but it's that is a class. I don't know if it's class action suit. I don't want to get all legal and stuff, but it's definitely an issue where you can go online. You can look up Samsung ice maker. Yeah, it's on it. And that leans towards the same thing with the LG compressors. The LG compressors became such an issue that they unleashed, a universal one where you actually had to deal with getting a whole new compressor put in and updating software and all of that stuff, which is a well-known issue. Any tech in the field that service them will let you know that's what you got to deal with. And they also have an issue where they've been reimbursing customers, I think, to a certain degree because of the loss of food and things of that nature, and trying to keep the noise down. But once again, dealing with that situation and dealing with that, even with that small Samsung situation, I look at it as kind of small because we've encountered it so many times in the field. Check out Tinker or Rich's Appliance. Check us out. But we've encountered it. You got to shout us out.
Yeah, you got to. Go ahead, my brother.
We've encountered those problems so often that you got to still think about when you don't have RAR, Rich's Appliance Repair, or Tinker available, what technicians do want to work on these things. Because I've met dozens, and I'm pretty sure Richard can say the same thing. You meet technicians that's like, oh, I don't even touch that. They don't even want to deal with it because they don't want the recalls. They don't want the headache. They don't want to deal with the product itself, because they're like, all right, I'm going to fix this. Now you're going to call back in about this. They just, hands down, they just have an issue with those brands when it comes to certain repairs. Right. So overall, that comes down to doing your research, and you got to realize what you're purchasing. I met a gentleman today where I went to his son's house and fixed their refrigerator, which was that Samsung issue, which we put the whole kit in, we did everything. I told his son, contact Samsung, see what you can do. They cut him a check. But the crazy part was when I went to his dad's house to fix his fridge, he had a different issue where it's that the panel freezing over and all of that stuff. Mm-hmm. And I fixed this problem. And he said, man, you know what's crazy? He said, everybody in our family bought Samsung. His son, you know, of course, the parents and the friends of the family, all these people, they're like Samsung, and they're all having problems, every single one of them. And not trying to put shade on Samsung.
We telling the truth out here, shame the devil.
But yeah, it's a frequently known problem with the unit. So you got all of these people, let's just say it's 10 people, and 9 of them got similar problems, or they just got rid of the fridge. And even a couple of them may have gotten paid out because of what they were dealing with. They were in the right place, the right time, right representative. But you can't tell me that that's not an issue when you got 10 people with a product and 9 of them got a problem, or all 10 of them got a problem. I mean, and we're not just making small complaints saying, oh, well, the shelf broke or something. I mean, these are legitimate problems where it's not doing its job to the degree where you're losing food. You know what I mean? What the job of the refrigerator is to refrigerate or freeze your food, and or refrigerate or freeze your food, right? If it's not doing that job, it has failed you. Right. And once it begins to do that, the product becomes useless. That's like a dishwasher that don't clean dishes, a stove that don't cook food. You know, it's useless. It's like, all right, it's taking up space. I'll let you take it back, brother.
You're good, man. You was on point right there, man. You was on point, man. But just to wrap up, because we can always leave with a little tip. Whatever appliance that you choose that you want to give a tip on, we can also reassure them as far as if anybody's watching this, again, you can contact us at Consumer Appliance Report. Send us an email at car21136@gmail.com. Again, for me, I'm going to state the 3 brands that I really like and the 2 that I don't. You can do that. And then, of course, after that, we can give them our tips. And then we can wrap up, man, because we've been on here for a little decent time. So,
man, time fly when you're having fun.
It does fly when you're having fun. I do agree with that. But for me, if I'm going to go with, like I said, in no particular order, man, I like Samsung products. I like LG. And I said that I like Whirlpool as well because I like their appliances overall. And it's multiple appliances, so it's not really one. One of the things that we did stress is, as far as you've been hearing from us about the Samsung appliances having issues with their refrigerator, same thing for the LG. And that's one of the things why we rate the warranty for them so high, because a lot of refrigerators with the prices that they have now, it's really expensive. So they got to give you a little bit more than just a standard 1-year warranty, because a compressor is $400 or $500. So if you got to replace that and get into the system like that, that's almost $1,000 in parts after you done already spent $3,000 and it's only been 3 years. Like, bro, I would be really upset. So that's why I like some of their products, as they do give you extended warranty as well. Same thing for LG. Their refrigerators having a little bit of issue there. An appliance that I know for sure that I do not like is Fisher Paykel and Electrolux. I'm just not a big fan of those 2. I'm gonna let you go ahead and give your likes and dislikes, and then again I could just hit the give them a tip of an appliance, and then of course you can give them a tip for whatever appliance that you want, just to give them a little tip or feedback or whatever. But what appliances that you do like?
I'll start with the one that I don't like. I'm going to say on the bottom end of my list, I'm going to say Asco.
Oh yeah, I forgot. Yeah,
I do not like those.
Yeah.
That came out the cut. That one it hit me. I'm like, Asco. And I'm going to say it's not really too many, because then it starts to go into what ones I don't like as far as the overall brand. Like, it's hard for me to say because I may not like their stove, but I might like their fridge. But I'm going to say bottom of the line is Asco, and then I'm gonna just throw LG in there. And what? I'm just gonna say, hold up, no. I'm just gonna say, I retract that, my brother. I'm going to say, matter of fact, I'm going to say Asco and Electrolux.
Don't let me convince you of doing anything you
don't want. No, because I would have to say I really don't like Electrolux compared to, like, I would rather have a GE in my house than an Electrolux at this point. So I'm at the bottom line. I'm gonna say Asco and Electrolux. My top end has got to be Whirlpool, GE, and I'm gonna slip in that Frigidaire. I like Frigidaire. Frigidaire is one of my most favorite brands. It's practical. It's simple to repair. It gets the job done, but I can't rock with the Electrolux version of their stuff because that's just high end. It's like buying a Benz that washes itself for no reason. It just starts to spray water and clean it. It's like it's useless stuff. It's too many buttons for no purpose. But yeah, my top three of those three, Whirlpool, GE, Dex. Now I'm talking about Electrolux. Frigidaire. And I slide Samsung and LG in there towards the end of my list because I do have to respect their warranty. I have to. And in all honesty, we started seeing a larger amount of those products because more people were buying them. So they did become more popular. I have to give them their credit there. But if they're going up in my house, they better be on sale. That's it.
All right, so
what's your tip, bro?
My tip, man, especially let's dive into, for me personally, I would say front load washing machine, man. Some of the biggest issues that I know that I've dealt with, I'm gonna just leave you guys with two. One, with the door boot seal or the door gasket, it develops mold, it has odor. All right, couple of things that you can do to prevent that from happening. One, you want to leave the door open. You want to give your appliance fresh air. Right? You don't want to keep the door closed. You want to keep that door open every time so that fresh air is hit it. A lot of the new appliances might come with a specific tool that allows the door to be open to a certain degree because they understand that you can't open the door all the way. So you want to consider that. LG has that type of model. I know GE right now has the best, in my opinion, front load washing machine on the market because they have a vent that actually circulates fresh air inside of the machine that prevents your gasket from developing mold, right? So that's the benefit. You can leave the door open. Leave the door closed, excuse me, so that that fresh air can hit it. And that's one of the things I like about that GE appliance. So check that out. We did a review on that. Also remember, I guess I said I had two, but I got three. Another one is you got to make sure you clean your appliance, right? Your machine is smart enough to let you know when it needs to be cleaned depending on the soil inside of the wash machine. Normally the manufacturers, just from doing a lot of reviews, say that you're supposed to do it after every 30 washes or once a month. All right, just to remember, once a month. This is something that you can do periodically once a month to clean the inside of your wash machines. So you want to make sure you do that. They should have a tub clean setting to clean the wash machine. You can use a fresh inside of there or wash machine cleaners, or you can use bleach. But I do advise that you go into the owner's manual, check the owner's manual out, just so you understand how to do it. And that's another thing that prevents your washing machine from smelling, because it does smell after a while if you have not used it, if there's water still sitting there and it's not draining all the way out, stuff like that. You do want to keep that. So, and then the last thing is you want to check out your actual drain on your wash machines. A lot of the drains on the wash machine sometimes can be clogged up. All right, so if they're clogged up, you want to make sure you can clean those filters. Check out the owner's manual before you go ahead and decide to clean the filter. Most of them have a little filter that you can clean, and that will help your washing machine last a lot longer. Outside of that, that's it. Whatever tips you got, man, go ahead.
First one is I'll go on the fridge side. You have a recommended setting to use on there for your temperature. There's no reason to be putting your freezer and all that on -6 and all that stuff. This 0 is fine, or -2. What you're doing is you're telling this compressor to run a really long time, and you don't need that. If you're in a very warm area, very hot area, then you might want to start doing that because these machines are a lot smarter now. So they're working off of ambient temperature and all of this stuff. They can sense temperature outside of them and all this junk. Clean your coils, of course, don't be afraid to clean those. Another thing is explore your machine. Use the options, use the other things so you know what it sounds like, what it does when it's working properly, because you may use a product and you only use it one way for 10 years and then you decide I'm going to use it this thing now, and then you realize the difference, and now it's considered broke to you, but it's actually working within reason. I'm pretty sure you ran across this with the electric cooktops, the ones, you know, the coils with the glass top and they glow red. Some people will tell you they don't ever get that red for a long portion of time, and they're broken because it should stay red all the time. Now, if I turn it on without a pot on it, that thing will glow red for probably about on high. That is on high. It's going to glow red for about a minute and then shut off. If I put a pot on it, it's probably only going to go for about 30 seconds. Why? Because it's a sensor in there that senses how hot the surface is and how hot the burner is. When it exceeds that temperature, it's telling it to cycle off because it has exceeded the temperature that you requested. But to have a person tell me that thing's red all the time and they truly believe it is because they never seen it without the pot on it. and what it does is it makes them think that it's broken, when in actuality you would have to think, if this thing stayed red that entire time, it would heat up to the point where it would shatter this glass, because that's why they call it infinite switches. They can get hot in an infinite amount of different temperatures. At least that's what was told to me as a rookie. So I rock with it. Second of all, same thing with the washers. Like Brother Rich said, you have that with dishwashers a lot of times. They have those strainers in them. Clean your filters, clean your machines. Please clean your machines. You got to remember, when you have that mold and buildup inside of your dishwasher, that's what you're eating. You're consuming that old mildew buildup. You're eating that. You just don't realize it because it's on such a small scale. But yeah, that's what you're consuming. So that's what your people are consuming when they come over and ask for your cup of water, and all the little nasty bubbles be in it, little floaties. Yeah, give me a bottle of water. I ain't coming up in there drinking out of no cups and ain't out of no bowl. And get your cleanser. You know, you can get a fresh and all that. They sell it for the washer. They sell it for the dishwasher. You can get that. I run it through my machines faithfully. I've actually been slacking a little bit, but I try to make sure I run it through there at least once a month, once every 2 to 3 months, if with the washer, because you don't need to overkill it, but you got to do it. You'll be amazed at the difference it makes in the smell and stuff like that. So that's all I got, my friend.
Oh, that's good enough, man. That's good enough. Again, we appreciate you guys, man. Again, check us out at Consumer Appliance Support, man. Have any questions, just let us know. Like I said, this is something that we're going to try to do at least once a week, just to put some information out there, man. If you have any questions that we can help you guys with, hit us up. Email address is car21136@gmail.com. So I thank you, my brother, as always, man. And we're going to holler at the people later. We see y'all next week. We out. Peace.
Peace.